We are live. Well, as live as we can get. Okay, so today is, what is today? 29th
29th.
of May, 2025. I don't know where May went to. It's gone.
It disappeared on us. We got
So,
2 days left
oh
of
my.
May.
So we're going to do Job 5 and 6. And it picks up. We had decided, since we can't say that Job's friend's name, I can't even pronounce it. His name is now Eli. We're shortening it to Eli. It starts Eli, so his name is shortened to Eli, so I don't butcher it. But all right, so we'll say a quick prayer, and then I'll read Job 5, unless one of you ladies want to read Job 5. Oh, well, I didn't think so. Thanks. Okay. Lord, thank you for bringing all of us together. Thank you for watching over us all this last week, and as we go and finish the rest of this week and the rest of May. Thank you for always providing a way when we don't even know where we're going or which way we're going. As long as we're following you, you provide that way for us. Please open our minds and our hearts to Job 5 and 6 as we delve in to see what Job encounters and how Job handles all the trials that Satan throws at him. Be with us during this Bible study, and for all who are not with us this evening and who will be watching in the future. In your son's name, amen. Okay, so good old Job and Job's friends. So this opens with Eli's continuing from what he was talking about last week, where he was questioning Job as to whether it was his fault that all of this is happening. So let me find my notes. Okay, so I'll read verses 1 through 7, and it's Eli that is talking. A cry for help, but will anyone answer you? Which of the angels will help you? Surely resentment destroys the fool, and jealousy kills the simple. I have seen that fools may be successful for the moment, but then comes sudden disaster. Their children are abandoned far from help. They are crushed in court, and no one to defend them. The hungry devour their harvest, and even when it's guarded by brambles, the thirsty pant after their wealth. But evil does not spring from the soil, and trouble does not sprout from the earth. People are born for trouble as readily as sparks fly from a fire. So it's the like I said, it's Eli that's talking to and telling Job, as he repeats that trouble is just born to man. So in here it's saying that just as much as the children are abandoned or crushed in court, the hungry still devour the harvest, and even when the harvest is guarded by brambles, it's still getting trampled on. So we're always encountering something, and I know that just me, it seems like every time you turn around, there's something that that you're dealing with, and how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
And it says reinforcing the idea that suffering is natural and expected. But I wonder, how natural is trouble? How much trouble is just crap you come across, or is it Satan throwing himself in there and stirring all of this up? And do we have more trouble? Is more trouble follows you the closer you get to Christ?
I think so.
I think so, because that makes Satan more jealous.
Yeah. We're always, something's always going
think
on.
that-
And the closer you get, the more trouble. And for me, it's exasperating. And I know that I've questioned it. I'm like, okay, so I am seeking after the Lord's heart. And that's what I want to do. That is what I strive to do every day. But because I do that, more trouble comes that way. And it's not fair, and I've said the same thing. It's not fair. Why do I, because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I'm going to encounter more, but you get somebody out there, a Christian that just wants to warm the seat on a Sunday, doesn't encounter anything. I'm like, how is this really fair?
They're having their worldly goods given to them, not their spiritual goods.
Yep.
That whole fence thing.
So then it's verses 8 through 16. Eli telling Job again, if I were you, I would go to God and present my case to him. He does great things, too marvelous to understand. He performs countless miracles. He gives rain for the earth and water for the fields. He gives prosperity to the poor and protects those who suffer. He frustrates the plans of schemers. Schemers? Wow. So that the work of their hands will not be succeeded or will not succeed. He traps the wise in their own cleverness, and so their cunning schemes are thwarted. They find it is dark in the daytime, and they grope at noon as if it were night. He rescues the poor from the cutting woods of the strong, and he rescues them from the clutches of the powerful. And so at last the poor have hope, and the snapping jaws of the wicked are shut. But consider the joy of those corrected by God. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. So I guess it goes right back on what we were talking about. That, hey, we're going to encounter all of this, but in the backside of that, God's always there to protect us. And even though we don't see it, he does. I mean, how many times have we done something? How many times have we gone, you go out to start your car doesn't start, and you're like, oh, but I really needed to be so-and-so place. And by the time you get down the road, you realize that there was an accident or there was something. And that little bit, he was stopping, even though that we're looking at it as, what are you doing? Really? God's right there to protect us. So my note says that Eli encourages Job to seek God, who does great and unsearchable things. He believes God ultimately protects and delivers the needy while punishing the wicked. And he does. But the whole thing coming back is lean on his understanding, not ours.
But what if you don't know his understanding?
That's a good question, because we don't. Even like, the Santa train that we've been dealing with all week is like, why? What do you want? Can I have a little morsel? Just give me just a little morsel, and so that I know what you're wanting. But once again, lean on his understanding, not ours. Even though
there could be something going to happen at the building that the church was in that we don't see coming, and it may not be anybody's fault.
Mm-hmm.
That could totally ruin everything.
Yep. So this would be verse 17 through 27. I did the 17, but consider the joy of those corrected by God. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. For though he wounds, he also bandages. He strikes, but his hand also heals. From 6 disasters he will rescue you. Even in the 7th, he will keep you from evil. He will save you from death in the time of famine, from the power of the sword in time of war. You will be safe from slander, and you will have no fear when destruction comes. You will laugh at destruction and famine. Wild animals will not terrify you, even snakes or mice. You will be at peace with the stones of the field, and its wild animals will be at peace with you. You will know that your home is safe. When you survey your possessions, nothing will be missing. You will have many children, and Your descendants will be plentiful as grass. You will go to the grave at a ripe old age, like a sheaf of grain harvested at the proper time. We have studied life and found this all to be true. Listen to my counsel and apply it to yourself. It was like Eli switched all the way around from, what did you do to.
But with that being said, if my whole family had just gotten wiped out and my crops are gone, my animals are gone, and all of this, and he's telling me, oh, this is what's going on, and it could be so much worse, I want to punch him in his face.
And he seems to take a totally different flip. So in 4, he's, what did you do, Job?
Right.
And even in the first part of 5, well, just look at it this way. Well, the second half of 5, now he's saying, hey, it could be worse, and I'm like, Eli, you need to make up your mind. Which way is Job going to go, and how is Job handling this?
Job is like Andrea and wants to hit somebody.
Exactly. I would not be. If it were me, no, I'd want to punch him in his face.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, this makes me think of every person that's like, why did this happen to your family? Blah, 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 blah. And people, Eli, I'm calling him Eli, guys, because I can't pronounce his name.
Well,
we agreed.
Yep.
Yeah. So Eli is sitting there, oh, this is your fault. This is your fault. This is your fault. And it's like, no, dude. Like chapter 1, Job is making sacrifices on behalf of his children to God. No, this is not his fault.
Nope, not his fault at all.
And then he goes on his little rant trying to blame Job. And I'm like, heifer, you better step back.
Well, the thing I got out of from 17 to 17, 18, and 19, where he's saying that, but consider the joy of those corrected by God. Do not despise the discipline of the Almighty when you sin. For though he wounds, he also bandages. He strikes, but his hand is also healed. And the thought that came to mind in that one was disciplining your children, where you discipline, but you also do it in a loving way. Where did my camera go?
Your camera's on.
Is it? Okay. Well, I don't see my happy smiling face on this side. But and then it talks about from 6 disasters he will rescue you, even in the 7th he will keep you from evil. So it's almost like he's prophesying what we're going to see at the end of Job, where Job gets all of this back. So in there, that's how I took it anyways. What did you think, Andrea?
Sorry, I have a cookie.
And you're not sharing?
I was looking at it and I was seeing it's like double-mindedness in Eli. One hand, he's blaming Job and he's saying, this is your fault. You've sinned somewhere along the line. And then on the other hand, he's never talking to God. He's always talking about God.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other hand, I'm sorry, my phone was acting up. And then on the other hand, he's talking about, like in certain spaces, how good God is.
Yeah.
So
he can't make up his mind.
It was very double-minded for me on that one.
Yeah, it was a little confusing. And I'm like, how do you do your friend that way? How do you go to your friend with, well, what did you do? And then turn around and just a little bit and then say, hey, how about you count your blessings because, God can do this. So there's so many different nuances to it.
With a friend like Eli, I don't think he needed many enemies, because Eli is like, first he's like, what did you do? And then he's like, well, it can't be that bad. You need to do this. I'd punch him in his face.
Well, and the thing about it is too, you're sitting there, and in the first couple of chapters, we see them, all three of his friends. Right now, just Eli's just the one speaking. But we see all three of them coming to him, and they're compassionately sitting with him, waiting. They're not like rushing him. They're not trying to get a word in. They're literally just waiting for Job's reaction and whatever Job is going to say. And then when Job starts speaking, then it's, oh, well, what did you do wrong?
Yep.
And historically, the Israelites, they did have like a kind of punishment consequence thing going on because, they were being retarded. They were being ignorant and disobeying the Lord, and they would suffer consequences because they didn't have Christ back then. So I could kind of see where Eli's coming from if Job had shared anything about, Jehovah God to him. But at the same time, Job is not forsaking God. His wife is, and his friends are. So why are they continuing the conversation? Why are they continuing to say, oh, this has got to be your fault somewhere down the line?
Right.
You think he was trying to save face, Eli, that is, because, he comes at him pretty forcefully in the beginning. And then he kind of switches it around and Job gave no reaction at this point. So we saw before that, Job was cursing the day that he was born, but I'm pretty sure I would too out of pain. He was in all of this pain, both physical and mental. So he's going to cry out in that aspect. So Eli comes to him, and in the beginning, it's, hey, what did you do wrong? And all of this. And then maybe he realized he was being a little harsh. So he comes back and trying to save face and being a butthead. Because we do that. I mean, we do that with friends and family. We trust them and we love these people enough that all of a sudden we jump out there before we think about what we're saying. And maybe that was Eli as he's coming back around to the other end, which then did foresee what does happen in the future.
And I don't know where y'all are on verses because I don't get to visit with Mom very often, so I wanted to eat her lunch with her. But verse 8 struck me because Eli in verse 8 of chapter 5, y'all are still in 5, right? I thought I heard 5.
We read all the way through 5.
Oh, dang it. Okay. Well, verse 8 of chapter 5, I don't have my Bible on me because I am driving. I saw that. I have to put it out there. Eli very tactfully was stating that Job was not seeking God, and he was committing, whatever the sin was that caused God to do this. And I'm like, there are a lot of people that I have experienced in the last 5 months, that are questioning my parenting, questioning Jason, and it's like, look, dude, not every affliction that comes upon someone is their fault. Now, we are human. We make bad decisions. We have consequences to our actions. But in this particular case with Job, he didn't do anything. God was like, hold on, I'm going to throw him under the bus because he'll never betray me and he'll never leave me. Go ahead, Satan, take your best shot. Yep. That wasn't Job. I mean, if anything, Job is only at fault for trusting God. That's it. So for me, I'm like, well, I'd rather be found at fault of trusting God than anything else.
Yeah. And the fact he's like, hey, have you tried going before God? And it was like, don't you think I would have done that already? So
what verse are y'all in?
We were about to start 6. So we walked all the way through.
I have one more note that I wrote on verse 27 for chapter 5, because my handwriting, read it while I'm driving slowly. Yes, Debbie, I am driving slowly. It says, because it says Eli claims in verse 27 that they have searched it out and know it's true. So Eli is claiming that he and the friends have searched out God, in my opinion, and seen that, this has to be true. There has to be a sin that Job has committed. Well, how do you seek and search it out if you're not a follower of Jehovah anyway?
Right.
So
That's-
where
Exactly.
I missed that. Yeah, that's a good point.
where is he getting his info? That's, that it reminded me of town gossip. Like, you're getting your
Mhm.
information from another source rather than going to God, the source, or Job, the source. Even his wife, as angry as she was with Job for not forsaking the Lord, still could have testified too that Job has not sinned and Job was offering sacrifices on the behalf of his children.
Right.
So I want to know who he talking to.
Well, and see, the study Bible that I have says, we studied life and found all of this to be true. Listen to my counsel and apply it to your life. So, being the pain that he is being in this whole thing, Eli, that is now saying, okay, I know it all. You're going through this, and but he included the other buddies as well, because it says we have studied life.
Right.
But it didn't say that we went to God. It said we studied life and found all of this to be true. So are you going on experience, or are you going on what God tells you? Because to me,
Or what somebody else is telling you.
I
yes.
really don't like Eli.
Audra's going to go beat up Eli.
Okay.
I'm going to go beat him up because I don't like him.
All right. Any more comments? Anything, Connie, from chapter 5?
No, I think we covered it pretty good.
We covered
actually.
it. Sis is about to go beat up Eli.
Yep.
I'm right
That's the
with
sum
her.
total.
So in chapter 6 is where finally Job responds to Eli.
He'll respond better than I would.
Well, I
Yes,
don't
he
know.
will.
You might punch him in the nose, but we'll see.
Audra's
Said,
still being sanctified.
Then Job spoke again. If my misery could be weighed and my troubles put on the scale, they would outweigh the sands of the sea. And that's why I spoke impulsively, which that's what we were saying before. He was going through all this pain. For the Almighty struck me down with his arrows. Their poison infects my spirit. God's terrors are lined up against me. Don't I have a right to complain? Don't wild donkeys bray when they find no grass, and oxen bellow when they have no food? Don't people complain about unsalted food? Does anyone want the tasteless white of an egg? My appetite disappears when I look at it, and I gag at the thought of eating it. So, yeah, in all of that, as we've said, Job has a right to be angry, and and I could just feel the anguish that Job had when he was talking. I mean, he was cursing his birth. He was cursing before even being knitted in his mother's womb. I mean, that's a lot of pain. And no, I would not want to eat an egg without salt.
Well, and he's under such immense grief, and Eli is almost like he's making it worse because he's wrongly accusing Job of sinning.
Yep.
When he wasn't.
Yeah. So instead of being the quiet, patient, mercy-filled friend that we're introduced to, now he's opening his mouth and giving his opinion, an ignorant opinion, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he's making the situation even that much worse for Job, because Job's like, dude, I didn't do anything.
Yep.
And he's pronouncing, in my opinion, he's pronouncing judgment against God, because he's saying he did this to you. He's judging God, saying he did this. God did this to you. When God didn't, Satan did. Now there could be a lot said for God allowing it, but
I'm
Satan
still a little
did it.
salty about that one. All back in chapter 1, I'm still a little salty at the fact that he allowed it, but I guess it happens. It makes me think, how many times has God put us up like that?
I don't know, but I'm beginning to wonder.
Okay, so verses 8 through 13. Oh, that I might have my request, that God grant my desire. I wish he would crush me. I wish he would reach his hand out and kill me. At least I can take comfort in this. Despite the pain, I have not denied the words of the Holy One, but I don't have the strength to endure. I have nothing to live for. Do I have the strength of a stone? Is my body made of bronze? No, I'm utterly helpless without the chance of success. And that just sounds so, once again, you can feel the pain that he's going through. It's just like, just take me out of my misery.
Well, he's longing. Yeah, he's longing for that escape to death. He's not going to commit suicide. That's not what the word says.
No.
It says he's just longing that, like, please don't let me wake up tomorrow because this is all a nightmare. Longing for that escape.
Because it says, I wish he would reach out his hand and kill me. So, which in essence, it's like, all right, God, if you're going to put me through all of this, just finish it. Just finish it. I'm done. And it says that, he feels helpless and without any more strength. He has none. Oh, sorry, I lost my slide. Because verse 11, but I don't have any strength to endure. I have nothing left to live for.
Right.
And you can just feel that anguish. So it's not, to me, I get in this one is his, in the first part when he was cursing, his birth was more of the physical pain that he was going through. Now I think it more of the emotional pain that he is going through. So, he's lost kids and his wife is being a pain in the dupa. So,
and he also, in verse 10, he's also still declaring his innocence.
Yes.
So we see he's still going, I have not sinned against God, and I am too weak to do all of this. He's too weak to even go on, in his own opinion, to meet the everyday challenges of life after this. Because he doesn't know.
How many times do we deal with that? How many times at the end of the day can we say, there's just nothing left of me? I am just done for the day. Please, nobody expect anything. Even God, please don't expect anything out of me for the rest of the day, because there's nothing left to me.
Yeah, or you've been so challenged in a way that you're just like, there's just nothing. There's nothing. And when you're in the emotional, the physical pain is one thing. But when you pair the physical with the emotional pain, it's a whole nother ball game.
Yep.
And it's just life draining, and it just sucks everything out of you. And here, in the way Job is phrasing this, like you said, from verses 8 to 13, you can just hear the emotional toll that it's taking on him.
Yeah. Because he's like, I haven't done anything wrong. What, why is this happening? Because I know that it's not me. So the next is the 14, and that'll through 30. That'll take us to the end of Job. One should be kind to a fainting friend, but you accuse me without fear of the Almighty. All right, Job, now you speak up. Let's see what's going on. My brothers, you have proved it as unreliable as a seasonal brook that overflows its banks in the spring. I think I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna start using that. You're as reliable as an overgrown brook. But when the hot weather arrives, the water disappears and the brook vanishes in the heat. The caravans turn aside to be refreshed, but there's nothing to drink, so they die. The caravans from Tema search for this water, and the travelers from Sheba hope to find it. They count on it, but are disappointed. And when they arrive, their hopes are dashed. You too have given no help. You have seen my calamity, and you are afraid. But why? Have I ever asked you for a gift? Have I begged you for anything of yours for myself? Have I asked you to rescue me from my enemies or save me from ruthless people? Teach me, and I will keep quiet. Show me what I've done wrong. Honest words can be painful, but what do your criticisms account to? Do you think your words are convincing when you disregard my cry of desperation? Would you even send an orphan into slavery or sell a friend? Look at me. Why would I lie to your face? Stop assuming my guilt, for I have done nothing. Do you think I'm lying? Don't you know the difference between right and wrong? There you go, sis. He just throat punched him. And the fact that, okay, I have done nothing. You show me what I did wrong. If you can show me, then okay. But you can't. All you're gonna do is you're out here running your lips.
Yeah, Job is in this moment, he's having a comeback. He's criticizing and challenging Eli. He's criticizing what he said to him. Eli should have remained quiet and supportive and given strength and given encouragement and hope, or not said anything at all.
Right.
And instead, he's telling him he sinned and what great sin have you done? And so Job is now criticizing him for being an unreliable friend. And he's challenging him, show me what I've done.
Yeah.
And Eli and them should have just remained quiet and, helpful. And here, Elizabeth, put those back. And so, yeah, it really does. People, like, we can tell our kids all day long, like, the people you surround yourself with will make you become part of who you are and make you, into who you are somewhat. But you never really understand that until you're walking through situations where you're like, okay, this is a real person, this is not. And in this moment, Job is beginning to find out his friends really aren't his real friends.
Right.
Yeah, because you need people who are going to hold you accountable. You need, and that's pretty much the way that I take it anyways, is that he's like, teach me and I'll be quiet. You show me what I've done wrong. And he's open to that criticism. But of course they have nothing to say. So yes, I like the fact of surrounding myself with people, with like-minded people, such as you ladies, so that I am held accountable when I mess up, and we all mess up, that somebody's going to catch me and say, hey, yeah, maybe you took that wrong, or maybe you did it this way or that way. But if we come to somebody in a loving manner in a mistake, then they're going to take it, or they should anyways, in that loving manner. But I like the way that Joe finally spoke up and said, all right, dude. But you know what? He didn't accuse him of, so he didn't come at them. He was harsh, but he wasn't accusatory or anything like that. I took it more as the fact that, look, show me. I am open to criticism.
Yeah, he wasn't like degrading.
Yeah.
He wasn't name calling. He wasn't degrading. He wasn't attacking. Like, people will go for the low blows, and he wasn't doing any of that. He was telling him, you are unreliable because, you're not giving me strength. One moment you're giving me strength in the beginning, and now you're telling me I've sinned. Like, this is an unreliable relationship. There's no strength for me in it. So he's not attacking him personally. He's attacking what he's doing. And then he's saying, okay, show me what I've done.
Yep.
And most people, when you start doing that show me what I've done, they back off.
Yep. Yep. They sure do. But I've gotten a little more, I'd never really read Job until now. And we always have heard the patience of Job and all of that. And I knew the trials that he went through, but I've enjoyed being able to, I can almost see what they're going through. And I can see Job stands up, all these boils all over him, and he feels like crap, but all of a sudden he's like, look, you want to go toe to toe? Let's go toe to toe. But
he's saying, show me, let's do this.
I'm gonna sick my sister on you. It's like, any thoughts, Connie? I think we lost her. Are you eating Andrea's cookies?
I'm sorry, I was on mute.
Wait, did you make cookies? Is Zach eating cookies?
I need cookies.
I did make cookies. But all right, so it will don't have any other thoughts. We'll close this real quick.
I'm just glad Jeb's like, hey, listen up.
I know. Yeah, he got a little bit of a backbone because he really didn't stand up to his wife either.
No, he didn't.
In all of that. So, we'll wait and see what happens as he goes along, because I'm pretty sure now he's mad at the friends. The wife is next.
I guess we'll find out soon. If Jason ever was like, forsake God, I'd be like, heifer, you about to go on the ground. You're not doing that.
Who are you talking to?
No, it ain't happening.
Huh. All right. So we'll close in prayer and wrap this up for the week. Lord, thank you for showing us your word and showing us how to be a good friend, a friend that will stand up for our friend and not become accusatory. And as Job, to be able to stand up to those friends if they're accusing, for them to be able to show purpose and of what we've done wrong. And it's nice to be able to see that and to have friends and to show us that friends mean a lot. To be able to have friends who uphold us and not bring us down. And as Job is able to stand up for himself, that we would be able to stand up for ourselves. Take us through this week, and show us how to be good and loving to others, even when we don't necessarily agree, but to, as we've said, to lean on your understanding and not our own. And to bless us all and keep us safe, that hedge of protection around all of our families. In your son's name, amen.
Amen.
You're getting better at that.
I'm getting there. It's practice. It sounds so much better in my head.
It always does.
Hold on, I gotta click our little offy button. All right, so at the end of this video, anybody who is watching this video, please go in there and like it and subscribe it and share it. We are learning and we're going to get better at this as it goes along. We are going to make an introductory video so that you can we can share with everybody how this got started and why it got started. Okay.
Yay.